Come friends,
let's take a look
the
today.
World's top 3 sovereign funds. Well deserved.
Today, let's get to the bigger part.
It's the top 3.
And of course there's a 7th. I can tell you first.
There is no America here.
America we will put at the end of today.
Discuss alone.
Okay,
let's see
the
now.
The 7th largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. Singapore Government Investment Corporation. Assets under management are approximately $801
This should be very easy to guess,
you
right?
See, Hong Kong and Singapore
The
are
economic
brothers,
model
right?
is also
How can there
very
be Hong
similar.
Kong without Singapore?
Don't look at the GIC in Singapore.
Although it can only be ranked 7th, but he actually has 2 other funds.
These 3 add up
and join the $1 trillion club. So,
today,
let's put these 3 funds together for a chat. One is Greater Marcy Holdings. Asset size is about $288 billion. It's probably 1,213th in the world. The other one is called the Monetary Authority of Singapore. It's about $620 billion. What if he was on the list? In fact, it can also be ranked in the top 10. People don't think of him as a sovereign wealth fund. Where did the Singapore government get so much money? Well, in fact, his logic is very similar to that of Hong Kong. You see him as the starport of Asia. Financial center, sustained current account, and financial merchant accounts. Just make money a guy. Others will continue to invest in you. Let me tell you something. Singapore is even stronger than Hong Kong. Make money. Hong Kong mainly makes money through services. He's still in deficit on trade. Singapore, on the other hand, has industries and processing, so he made money on the trade. And make a lot of money. Look at Hong Kong, his current account surplus, about 5 to 10% of GDP. This is already very high, but Singapore has not dropped 15% in recent years. It was even more exaggerated before 2008. It was close to 30%. It can be said that in global trade, the market is making crazy money, so it's natural to amass a lot of wealth. Turned into the foreign exchange reserves of the Bank of Singapore. What about the practice in Hong Kong? Is to put all the foreign exchange reserves together, set up an exchange fund, then the fund is divided internally, different investment portfolios. Singapore is different. He is part of the choice to stay at the central bank, the HKMA fund, then take out a big piece. 2 more funds were established separately. It's GIC and Big Marcy. This central bank is also known as the Fund of Mars. Is he a foreign exchange reserve? So his main use is to adjust the stability of the new currency exchange
You're like 22 years.
American California is particularly fierce. Global capital is flowing back to the United States, and the dollar was really strong. However, the new currency is relatively. In fact, it has not depreciated that much. Why do you say? It all comes at a price. Look at the mass fund in Singapore at that time. Spent 1/3 of the reserve to maintain the stability of its own exchange rate. Spend dollars to hold up this new koi. He's kind of like a defensive player on a team. Such an important thing. His investments are also very conservative. Basically 90% are bonds. What about this JIC? Judging from the volume, he belongs to this main force. It's like the centerpiece of a team. So what about his investment style? It's a standard specialty. Step by step. Pay attention to one who does not seek merit, but seeks no fault. Mainly a dispersio. I'm not going to pursue any law. In pursuit of excess income, he is taught in the textbook. I spread my head out for you. Let's leer. He bombs stocks. Real estate plus private equity. 1/3 of each of these 3. The specific allocation is probably like this. Geographically, it is also distributed globally. Maybe there is a little more spread in Asia. There are also some different combination strategies. We won't expand. Actually, I think if people are interested in investing, I remember the viewers of our channel. Maybe hidden dragons and crouching tigers. If you have hundreds of millions in your hands and don't know how to invest, then I suggest you can check out this GIC published investment report. I think he's pretty professional. Of course, not that you asked Zhao to learn from him to cast, but at least he provided a model and a foundatio. And I think this report, at least very sincere. I will give you the information and give you the data. Not like those reports in the Middle East, right? DSC's true return on investment over the past 20 years.
That is, after excluding the
return on investment,
rate.
3.9%.
How about that?
In the return on investment of these sovereign funds. It's a little lower. I guess it will match his share. Not as much as those funds in the Middle East. It matters. The last of the Damasiko. His investment style is a little wilder. Like a shadow forward on a team. Fast forward, fast out, very elegant. All are equity investments. Creditors. And there are more than half of them here. It's all riskier private placements, even some startups. This elegant investment style. Maybe that's why he's not that big. That the exposure is higher. I guess you usually hear it on the news. The name Tamasi. Maybe a little more than the other two. Okay? So you see it's Masjid. Tamasi Defender. Factory forwards cooperate with each other. Make up this financial football team in Singapore. And what about these gains made by these three funds? Half of it goes to the Singaporean government. Interest income from these funds already account for 1/5 of government revenue. It is also the largest part of government revenue. It's more than corporation tax. Personal tax. The remaining half of the proceeds are kept in the fund. Keep snowballing. Half to the government and half to snowball. This mechanism, Singapore is also very unique. It's called NIR. Okay, here are the top 3 savings funds in the world. Third place, China Yuan Investment Co. Limited. Assets under management are $1.09 trillion. This is our list. The first $1 trillion fund. This Yuan Investment. It's a subsidiary of SAFE. SAFE? As the name suggests, it is under the People's Bank of China, an institution responsible for managing foreign exchange reserves. This Hua, I look at all foreign exchange sovereigns. He's in the straps of the fund, but his public information, very, very few, so to speak. Very, very mysterious overall. Look at that. He is under the SAFE Institutio. Central Foreign Exchange Business Center. One is called the Foreign Service. There are 5 companies under Waxi. One Way U. Gorgeous is sometimes called the 4 golden flowers. There is also a history of Frankfurt transactions. What about these companies? They are all foreign offices of SAFE. They each take a portion of the foreign exchange reserves, responsible for investing around the world. The direction of investment has some emphasis. You can tell by the name. For example, Huamei mainly invests in
China
the United
and
States.
Europe
mainly invest in Europe. Huaxin is registered in Singapore. The main focus is on Asia. Yuan was established in Hong Kong in 1997. It is said to have surrendered to the world. Under SAFE. Except for these 4 golden flowers, there are many more institutions. You've probably heard of it at some point. The name is quite elegant. What plane tree? Ginkgo mandala. Including the Silk Road Fund for the Belt and Road Initiative. So that's sort of the SAFE line. Down the structure, they may belong to each other and hold each other. It's called SAFE. The funding source of this SAFE system. China's foreign exchange reserves. It's about $3.20 trillion now. There are also 2,000 tons of gold. There are also some special drawing rights, close to 3 times that of second place Japan. It is more than a quarter of the world's total foreign exchange reserves. In fact, if all this money is pooled together, if you establish a fund, he is without a doubt the largest in the world. But SAFE obviously didn't do that. About 55% are in US dollar assets. Although it is quite a lot, right? More than half. But lately, SAFE is actually being helpful. Reduce investment in dollars, especially investments in US Treasuries. You see, 15 years ago, SAFE once held more than $1.20 trillion in US Treasuries. It's down to about $750 billion now. This is unlike Japan. Don't look at Japan's total foreign exchange reserves. That's $1.25 trillion. But there's more than $1 trillion. All weighed down on US Treasuries. He is also the world's largest creditor to the US government. You said it would be convenient for the Bank of Japan, right? Basically all the reserves. Just buy US Treasuries and that's it. Wow. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The second largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. China Investment Corporation. CIC for short. Total assets under management is approximately $1.33 trillion. You see, both in a row are Chinese sovereign funds. What about the two of them? In fact, it also represents the Chinese sovereign fund very well. The two major factions, the SAFE department and the CIC department. Just now we said that the SAFE system, there's so little to talk about, because there's not much information. There is still some information about this CIC. So look at him. First of all, the source of funds for this CIC. It was 2007. The Treasury issued 1.55 trillion special debt. Then I bought it from the central bank. Foreign exchange reserves equivalent to $200 established such a fund company. The government has since increased its capital by $49 It's a bit round, isn't it? So he theoretically, it is to directly take the foreign exchange reserves, but it was actually created through a bond issue by the Ministry of Finance. What about his more than 1 trillion assets, right? Before we said that 3.57 trillion. China's foreign exchange reserves. And let me tell you this CIC. He is no ordinary foreigner. He is a positive level foreigner. You have to know that there are about 100 foreign styles in China. And there are only 3 Chinese railways at the head of the distribution level. CITIC Group. Another one is CIC. So you can see his status, right? CIC was established in 2007. The goal is to have some funding. Can be more independent, more commercially oriented investment management. He has 3 subsidiaries. CIC Overseas, CIC International and Central Weiji. The first 2 are mainly invested overseas, and the third, Central Hygiene, is mainly aimed at domestic. It's also the biggest and most powerful part here. Basically, some of the largest state-owned financial companies, all are held by Weiji. I'll give you a few random examples. Bank of China's largest shareholder, Central Hygiene, holds 64%. China Construction Bank Central Hygiene holds 57%. Tokyo Central Hygiene holds 40%. What other CDB? Agricultural Bank of China, Everbright Bank, New China Life Insurance and other Central Hygiene Metropolitan Party. According to his financial report for the first half of 2024, his total assets are 7.76 trillion RMB. That's more than $1 trillion. Did you see that? That is to say, most of CIC's assets. It's all at Central Hygiene. So now you can see why he's important. Why is he at the head of the CIC? It's not just because of the large amount of money. He has money, and mainly his holdings are state-owned. Financial lifeline, it's everyone's wallet. And just recently, around this Central Weiji, something else happened. On February 14th, Zhengjin Company is not Hygiene or Zhengji, issued an announcement of a change of shareholders, said to give 2/3 of all his holdings, all transferred to Central Weiji. Also on the same day, 3 dozen self-management company Cinder, Oriental Great Wall. It's the MEC company that everyone usually talks about. They also each hold more than half of their own shares. Transferred to Central Weiji. What do you mean by talk? Well, to put it bluntly, it is a free gift. There was no sale, no exchange. It is a pure gift. How about this? The PBOC list of this central meeting room. The names of hundreds of listed companies are added at once. Here, many of the main expansions are in securities firms. This can be said to be a national. Huge personnel changes. Structural matrix. So those asset management companies. Zhengjin is directly controlled by the Ministry of Finance. Now it will be uniformly assigned to Haijin Underground. Pay attention. We just said at the beginning. The size of the 1.30 trillion. Not counting this equity transfer. This transfer is a free gift. Conservative estimate. The size of CIC. Probably hundreds of billions of dollars more. And you see he picked this day, right? It's quite romantic to give it away for free on February 14th. Hee haha. So in general, this central fund is a big investment from China Investment Corporation. It's more like a holding company. Or kind of like a policy bank. And two other subsidiaries of CIC. CIC Overseas and CIC International. He feels more like a normal peso. Investment in a sense. Is the company going to make some asset allocation? What bonds to buy? Stocks, real estate, etc. This hour when he first started. Overseas investment is actually not going well. Do you think he was established in 2007? What kind of black stone did you throw when you came up? Morgan Stanley, these overseas financial companies. As a result, the financial tsunami hit directly. He also received a lot of criticism at that time. But then what? Little by little, I'm finally on the right track. From 2014 to 2023, this decade, the ROI rate overseas reached 6.57%. Now, a situation of his asset allocation. Something like this. 1/3 are open market stocks. 16% fixed income. The other 48% is in alternative assets. You see, nearly half of him is in alternative assets. It can be seen that it is really different. This alternative asset he defines, including like private equity, hedge fund, real estate infrastructure, anyway, etc. These investments are riskier. Asset types that are also less liquid. In fact, I guess. Why did he invest so much? Liquid assets. And we analyzed the stuff in the last issue. Why do those funds love to invest? Private equity should be for the same reason. Mainly for privacy protection. There's a lot of money here. Is spent on Belt and Road Initiative related projects. Should be on the order of tens of billions of dollars. I'm scattered. I found some CIC investments in recent years. Investment. For example, the acquisition of a Russian fertilizer company. New York bought a building or something. There's probably nothing to unfold. However, among his many investments and so many names, one of them caught my attention. I'll tell you this name. It was already when I checked this manuscript. I don't know if it's the 4th time or the first time. Do you know which company it is? Heathrow Airport in the UK. This is a very inexplicable little discovery. These sovereign funds both love investing in Heathrow Airport. Look at who his shareholders are. Saudi Arabia's PIF Casa Investment Authority, GS in Singapore, CIC. This CDPQ is actually a Canadian pension and an Australian pension, right? Just feel. The various funds of various countries give him the feeling of being divided And let me tell you, right after Dubai bought Heathrow, Abu Dhabi's heart is starting to itch. There have been rumors recently that Abu Dhabi's fund is also being considered. Actively buy his shares, I feel. You say, when will Heathrow Airport hold a shareholders meeting? Plot something. Feel like you can control the world's financial merit. You say it's amazing or not. What is the magic of this airport? Let the world's sovereign funds go crazy. This Heathrow Airport. Indeed, it is one of the busiest airports in the world. But it's completely inexplicable. Why is everyone alone? Love this Heathrow Airport. And if you just look at it from a financial investment perspective, this Heathrow Airport, including most airports around the world, doesn't make much money. The net income for 2 or 3 years is unintentional. Plus, such as epidemics and various economic crises will have a significant impact on his earnings. His income fluctuates quite a bit, so his valuation is not high. About $10 billion. From a financial investment perspective, not a particularly good investment. I think the reason why he is so popular, it may be that there are very few such international airports. His shares are allowed to be disclosed, sold to other countries. It is also the sovereign wealth fund of other countries. You see most of it. Well-known international airport. It's all the country's own government. Owned by state-owned enterprises, or at least domestic companies. Take a look, right? This Zero actually took it out for sale. It's not expensive anyway. Then I have to hurry up. He divided him up. Look at this shareholding structure chart, right? It's like a pizza, pretty average. Okay, so what we're going to announce is the global, the largest major fund. Norwegian Government Global Pension Fund. He managed more than $1.80 trillion. You said Norway is a Nordic country. Only 5.50 million population. How did he accumulate? What about 360% of GDP? Basically, it's oil and gas. In 1969, Norway discovered oil in the North Sea. Although this volume may be similar to, the countries in the Middle East are incomparable. But in these countries in Europe, it can be said that it is far ahead. In 2,000 years, that would produce about 3 million barrels of oil a day. Now come down a bit. That every day is also close to 2 million. It's also rich in natural gas. Especially after the start of the Russian war, and his gas revenues started to skyrocket. It's now surpassed even oil revenues. Energy per year, total revenue exceeded $100 billion. So don't be misled by his name. Although his name is pension fund. But actually, he and the oil in the Middle East, the country's sovereign wealth fund is similar. He's funded primarily by fossil fuels. It's not what people call a pensio. Is it funny? A wealth amassed by fossil fuels. The name of the fund is pension fund. It's kind of like having a little puppy in the house. I named him Kitty. The key is Ha. This is no ordinary cat. This is the largest dog in the world. Ha ha ha. Good. No kidding. We come back and say, this Norwegian pensio. He is interested in this fund. This places his owner. Follow our list. Some of the other funds on the list are different. He's not owned by the government. It's not owned by central banks. It belongs to the people of Norway. Norway's central bank, Norges Bank. There's also a team of maybe less than 1,000 people specifically responsible for managing and investing in this fund. In this way, you can try to avoid some of the political attributes of this fund. What about the Norwegian government? Help the people of Norway to hold it on their behalf. But you can't just misappropriate the money inside. All decisions have to be passed by Congress. So the simple answer is, this fund is owned by the Norwegian people. Hosted by the Norwegian government, Norges Bank Management. Hey, he probably has such a system. What about the Norwegian government? About 3% a year comes out of this fund. As a financial expenditure, this is equivalent to the Norwegian government spends 20% a year. The main thing is the welfare expenditure for the Norwegian people. And that's why you hear about it a lot. The social welfare in Norway is very good. Most medical education is free. Parents together. A full year of paid maternity leave. And so you said you could support him with such good social benefits. A lot of credit, all thanks to the sovereign fund behind it. What about his investment style and management style? I think one of his greatest characteristics is his transparency. Extremely transparent. This is what we said before. Middle Eastern sovereign funds. It's the exact opposite. But this also fits his characteristics. Is it the public's use of transparency? It is convenient for everyone to supervise. It is also convenient for me to check the information. If you go to his official website, the most eye-catching place above, just put a total market value updated by him in real time. And according to his CEO, This data is every second. The clock needs to be refreshed 13 times. I don't know why it needs to be refreshed so many times per second. On his official website, there is also statistical analysis of various investments. There is also the most primitive investment data. People have organized a scan form for you. You can download which companies he has invested in at will. What category? How much equity? What is the valuation? Anyway, it's all public. No reservations. And you will also find he doesn't invest in private equity at all. Investments are all listed companies. Why do you say? Mainly because of this private placement. He's so opaque. It is easy to hide dirt. So the Norwegian parliament, he was never allowed to invest in private equity. I have to. The way things are done in these Nordic countries. Isn't that transparent? Information that should be leaked. He told you. Sometimes you don't think you need to disclose information or information that is unnecessary to disclose. He's also all out. 2 days ago, didn't we chat about an issue of Danish Lego? I actually have this feeling. Obviously, they are not listed. This annual report is more detailed than that of a listed company. Let's briefly expand and take a look at his investment. He is divided into 4 categories of stocks and bonds in total: real estate and new energy infrastructure. Although the new energy infrastructure has been highly publicized, the investment is actually very small, just getting started. The total valuation is about 2 billion. It only accounts for the joy of 1,000 fans of total assets, so it can be basically ignored. Real estate projects invested a total of $28.80 billion. This ratio is higher than that of other sovereign funds. Very few. And then bonds. That's 26%. That's all that's left. It's all stocks. Look at the world's largest sovereign wealth fund. 72% are invested in stocks. Invested in over 8,000 companies. In terms of market capitalization, 1.5% of all stocks. It is all used by this Norwegian fund. He was in 2008. In the past, the proportion of stocks was about 40%. But then sometime after 2008, they are also almost the world's largest stock buyer. What did you invest in? It's basically decentralized. Basically, he won't go to a particularly large proportion, own a company, or go to human intervention in the decision-making of this company. He's not like BlackRock. Sometimes you have to go to other people's boards of directors. He is purely a financial investment. It's like a pancake, right? Spread out your head, and you can see from the actual results. His performance is indeed similar to the overall market. So let me say, it's kind of like a giant global equity ETF. Of course, we can't buy this ETF, although he also said verbally that he wanted to find a way to overpay. But you look at it in practice. This is a very typical example. Mobile investment practices. What are the advantages? In addition to low management costs, the important point is that the risk of public opinion is also low. Look at me with my head spread out like this, in case it finally falls. But the market is not good. You can't rely on me, right? Let me tell you, don't underestimate that. A lot of those sovereign funds, you want him to be in charge of that huge amount of money. In case of some excess losses or bad decision, he is going to be under great public pressure. You're like the Singapore Code period, including CIC. In fact, there will continue to be this public opinion pressure. This Norwegian fund, he has been working since 1998. The average annual return was 6.3%. So there you go. If you take a long-term investment perspective, an expected return over the long term, I think it's somewhere between 4 and 7%. Is relatively reasonable. You can probably have a number in mind. Of course, this is the full ROI. If we as individual investors, you still score a part. For example, an investment manager, then you have to get another discount. Let me say, this Norwegian fund, he made a very serious decision-making error. I flipped through his investments for a long time. There's no Heathrow Airport here. What's up? And finally, let's talk about America. You see, during Trump's speech last September, just said he wants to establish one of the greatest sovereign funds. And we'll have the greatest sovereign wealth fund of them all. And we should have. Sure enough, on February 3rd this year, Trump signed an executive order as soon as he took office to formally establish a U.S. sovereign wealth fund. And let me tell you, this project is rare. Projects that both Trump and Biden have expressed their support for. First, America. Why did he establish this sovereign fund? To be honest, a sovereign fund, if you use it well, for a country, whether it is for the people or the government, he actually has a lot of benefits. First of all, he really just makes money lying down, right? You take Singapore, Norway. He only needs to contribute a small part of this fund. Income. It's already the government's largest source of revenue, so you can increase the welfare of the people, lower taxes, etc. Secondly, it can also maintain economic stability. For example, like the exchange fund in Hong Kong, hygiene in the East, etc. These funds can be said to be various national teams. He can help maintain the stability of the exchange rate and maintaining the stability of the domestic financial merit. And then second, he can also invest overseas. Use the most solid, the most direct financial investment to disrupt the global market. Who am I good with? I want to support whoever is right. I will invest more money in you. If I don't like you, I can divest. You look like Saudi Arabia and he can threaten the UK. Why don't you let me buy a cow castle? I withdrew my investment. That's pretty strong. How about in the US? His executive order actually said the official purpose. You see the first point, promoting fiscal sustainability. Reducing the tax burden on American families and small businesses. To put it bluntly, it is to generate income, correspondingly, right? We just said and the first point. And then what about building long-term economic security? To promote the United States economic and strategic leadership. This corresponds to what we said. The second and third points. In fact, I think for America, that first one is tough. Because to be honest, the United States actually already has a budget deficit that can't be stopped. Think about it. How can he get so much money? And then relieve yourself of financial pressure. It's kind of like a guy with a lot of debt. Then say, I'm launching a huge foundation today. So the interest and income of this fund, you can help me pay off my debt, right? That's what you hear. Do you feel it here? There are some logical vulnerabilities. Of course, America is not your average rich ma. He does have a lot of quality assets. Funding capabilities are also strong. But even so, the market generally believes that financial guy, it is not the main purpose of this fund. Even if he is short-term, it's incredibly difficult to do. His more important purpose is most likely the second, is to promote the American economy and strategic leadership. Especially now, in the economic cycle of anti-globalization. You are like America. The governments of countries such as the UK start to realize the country has the advantage of having a sovereign fund. He can be very direct in the international market. Very given only. Let this government extend its reach even longer. It's also more accurate. More importantly, it can actually be more secretive. Low-key operation. Let's take the most direct example. Taking top is a huge headache for America. Also very embarrassing. Trump did. Our sovereign wealth fund. You can buy this TikTok. You have to tangle with the quarter guy. You have to go around and find someone to help you buy it, right? Okay, you see, we're talking about sovereign wealth funds, right? That's good. Then you say the federal government of the United States. Why didn't he have his own sovereign fund before? Well, it's very simple. It's just that he has no money. Although the United States as a country, the economy has been doing very well over the past few decades. People are getting richer and richer. That the government has no money in his hands. In fact, let's sort it out now. The world's top 10 sovereign funds. It's easy to figure out when we look for patterns. You see the accumulation of wealth. It's just two things. Either that, A country rich in natural resources and oil. Make money in the late stage. Make money falling into the oil curse. Just set up such a fund, and what about another type? It is a current account surplus, or a trade surplus. This kind of government through service, trade, investments and so on are constantly attracting inflows of foreign capital. I have accumulated enough money. Set up such a fund. In both cases, no matter what kind, and look at the economy. He's always making money. Earn money from other countries, and accumulated a lot of dollars. And what about America? Although he developed, he has a high GDP per capita, but it is a persistent trade deficit. Current account deficit. The government's debt continues to grow. He doesn't care about the entire economy or his federal government. Look, it is equivalent to a debtor who owes money. Under normal circumstances, you can imagine he has no way to, of course, amass this wealth, to set up a fund. Since the government has no money, you said Trump, where is he going to get trillions of dollars this time? To set up this sovereign fund. In fact, he is now. No clear solution was offered. So we can only analyze. If you want to make money, there are only 4 ways. Either earn or tolerate. Either sell or hard. Right? I don't think this print will be lost. Although America can print money. But if you print yourself so blatantly, spend the money yourself, this behavior not only does the dollar, the international credibility of, turn around, as we just said, it's not very likely. Even if you can transfer, it turns very slowly. You have to accumulate little by little. Trump said it during the election. He wants to pass tariffs to amass their own sovereign wealth fund, but that's not realistic in the short term. Mainly US tariff revenue he has too little. Or the fund needs too much money. Even with your crazy closing taxes, you want to accumulate trillions of dollars to establish sovereign wealth fund. And I guess Trump is retired. So far everyone is guessing, make money by selling things is the most probable possible option. You see what the executive order actually says. The federal government directly holds $5.70 trillion in assets, and potentially countless actual resource assets. U.S. Treasury Secretary Besson also said, possibly by selling off some U.S. government assets as a source of funding. He didn't say exactly what you were going to sell. Everyone guesses that it may be selling land, selling a house or something. Some even joke that he might. What to put in Alaska, Hawaii is sold. Of course, financing is also very possible. Let's say the government issues bonds, just like the Chinese government issued bonds back, establishing the same as CIC. But now is the time to burn financing. He has one more question. It's just that interest rates in the US are too high right now. Look at the 10-year Treasury bond. The yield has exceeded 4%. There is another way of financing. That is, the government can directly pull investment. For example, I go to a rich man like Musk, or asset management companies like BlackRock. People have money in their hands, right? It's not impossible. Anyway, what do you mean now? 90 days after the executive order was issued, the United States will give another detailed plan. Hey, if it's very interesting there, we can also analyze. Okay, we used 2 videos. Look at the world's largest sovereign wealth fund. Did you find it? We're not just curious. In fact, it is also through these funds. Take a side view of how governments work. Investment logic and organizational structure. And after you look at their investment methods, do you also manage your own assets? There is a deeper understanding.